But I did that for a long time. I mean, 9 or 10 years. And then I was ready to get out of it. And then there was a fear, because like, well, this is like the only thing I've really been successful at. So is it going to be the same somewhere else? And in the sales industry, if people work in sales industries, it can be kind of cutthroat. But a lot of people be like, oh no, you'll fail if you leave. Like, you'll fail. This is the only place to succeed. And they kind of like try to gaslight you into like staying and working for them and things like that. It's like you can't succeed other places.
What is up, everyone? This is Scorch the Fears, episode 101. We are here with Joe Jensen. He is a cool guy. I met him at the Bigger Pockets conference. I went on his podcast, and so I wanted him to come on mine. We had a really good conversation on his podcast. And I just wanted to introduce him to my audience as well. I think we're going to have a really good conversation. He's an entrepreneur, has his whole own media thing going on. So real quick, Joe, for everyone who's watching right now, quickly give like a quick background into you, your entrepreneurial journey, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, what's up, man? Glad to be here. I mean, quick background on me. I grew up on the outskirts of civilization on a ranch, played in the dirt, didn't have a lot of aspirations, but I got into door-to-door sales, which I ended up doing for a decade. And that kind of opened my vision, seeing a lot of people work really hard, overcome a lot of fear, push really hard, and achieve a lot of success. I leveraged that into building a real estate portfolio that I could become a real estate investor and just live off of that to kind of just design a life of freedom. And now I work with Real Estate Investing School, hosting their podcasts and teaching and just kind of helping people do the same.
I love it. So I told you what the first question of this podcast always is, which is, if you like, what were your fears when you were starting out? What were you dealing with? What were the issues that you were starting out with just in real estate investing? Let's start there. Just like, what were your fears when you were starting out on your real estate business?
It's funny because when I really finally just started going all in on real estate investing, at that point in my life, I actually just felt like I knew I could accomplish whatever I really decided to accomplish. But I wasn't always like that. So if we want to go into the fears, we go back to when I was 24. I'd never really made any money. I was newly married, and I was going out to knock doors in the inner city of Chicago, just going door to door selling home security systems. And that was where the fear was. And my biggest fear was I'd seen guys be successful at it, or I'd heard about it, but there was this phrase, it's like, well, that's cool for you, but like that could never be for me. Like, I could never do that. I could never learn how to make money. I could never be a good salesman. I could never do that kind of work. There were just so many unknowns, and I didn't have a ton of foundation to be like, I'll be good at this. There was just more doubts and unknowns, just making it seem like this seems impossible, because I didn't have any like proof to myself that it would be possible. But after years of that, and then switching industries and doing this and doing that and doing so many things, I got to the point where I knew what the formula to success is. And if I just applied that, whether it was in alarms or selling solar or, real estate or whatever it is, I knew if I applied the rules of success I'd learned, I would be okay.
Okay, gotcha. What were like, so the fears were that you just wouldn't be successful, fear of failure. How did you overcome it? Was it just doing it over and over and over again? Or what, like, did you just go in head first, or how does one overcome that?
Good question, man. And so for me, it was like, I was nervous. Like I said, it just didn't seem possible. I just didn't know how. And so it's like, it was fear, but like not fear based on anything solid. Like nothing bad was going to happen, if I failed or whatever. But it was just like, it just seemed so out of reach for me. But it was like, okay, we'll give it a shot. And it was funny because a lot of times when people do for door-to-door sales, at least, it was like guys would go on these little trips to kind of test it out. And then they would go out for a whole summer and go work. For me, my one fear is that I'd hate it. And I was sure that I would hate it. But I knew it was a good experience for me. So I didn't go on any of the test trips. I didn't go knock any doors. I didn't try it out at all, because I was afraid that if I did try it and I didn't like it, I wouldn't do it. but I felt like I should do it because I knew it would help me grow and progress in life. And so I just went full feet in, like I said, both feet all in, moved across the country and just started doing it. And to answer your question of how I got from like the fear to the belief that I could actually be successful at it was, one, I looked at those around me and I surrounded myself with people that were doing it. And I picked their brains. I saw what they were doing. I was like, okay, so like it works for him. And if he can do it, then I can do it. I'll just try to emulate whatever he's doing. And then when I had any amount of success, I would buy into it. So we back then, this is before the age of digital everything. We were using hard copies and 3-ring binders, and we'd have these like a pink piece of paper that was our copy, a piece of paper of the contracts would get signed, right? And we'd have turn one into the office, the customer would keep one, and we'd have one. And I would take that piece of paper and I would pin it up on my wall. So then the next day, I'd be able to look at that wall and be like, I got a sale. I was able to do it. And I had this proof, this evidence to my mind in front of my face every morning. And then when I got another one, I'd pin that on the wall, pin that on the wall. And as the weeks and the months progressed, I had this whole wall covered in proof every day that it's possible and I could do it, not just somebody, and just slowly built off of that. And that there's a science about presenting evidence to the mind to believe that what you're trying to achieve is doable.
I love it. Talk to us about that science a little bit. I mean, I've done those things. Like, I mean, I had my first sale. I have the first check I ever received right up here. You're gonna just hold on. My camera does this sometimes. Hold on. Is it gonna stop? Doesn't want to stop. I have my first check right up there. So, what is the science of getting over that fear? Well, how do you scientifically do it? Is that possible or?
I mean, I don't know the science behind it, but I'm told it's a real thing. You know what I mean? But I know that it works because I applied it. As you present evidence to the mind, it
Gotcha.
shows the mind that it is a real thing, and then you have something to base it off of. Because that's the hardest thing is when there's nothing to base the success off. Your brain, the neurons just don't really know where to go. They don't know where to fire. So, like recently, this past summer, I wanted to learn wakeboarding. So I started getting into wakeboarding. You're getting pulled behind a boat at like 20 miles an hour and you jump off of the wake and you go into the air and you come down on the other side of the wake. And I wanted to start learning how to do like flips and back rolls and stuff. And as I would go approach the wake and lift up, my brain literally didn't know how to do it. I've never done flips on any sort of, like snowboard or skateboard. I'm not an aerial trick guy. I had no idea how to do it. So my brain literally had nowhere to connect what the next step was. And that's a freaky place to be in because your mind goes, ooh, fear of the unknown. You could die because we don't know what's going to happen. And so it just like, it blocks you. It creates this like blank space because it has nowhere to connect. But as I started trying it, there was okay, there's this piece that can connect and now has something to build off of. And then the neurons can start running and you can add pieces more and more and more and more together. But in that first step is always the hardest because the brain's like, wait, I have no idea where to go with this. So let's just stay out of danger and not approach it.
I like it. Gotcha. So you start with that sales job, right? That's your first job that you're like really afraid of doing it. And then what happens? What's your journey from there?
Yeah, so I did that for a long time and it was really good experience. I mean, if you ever want to see what you're made of, go knock doors and get people slamming doors in your face. And you get to learn a lot about yourself doing that. But I did that for a long time. I mean, 9 or 10 years. And then I was ready to get out of it. And then there was a fear because like, well, this is like the only thing I've really been successful at. So is it going to be the same somewhere else? And in the sales industry, if people work in sales industries, it can be kind of cutthroat. But a lot of people be like, oh no, you'll fail if you leave. Like you'll fail. This is the only place to succeed. And they kind of like try to gaslight you into like staying and working for them and things like that. It's like you can't succeed other places. So you already have that kind of implanted from those around you. And again, it's like, well, if I go do something else, my brain's like, I don't know how that's going to work because I haven't done that thing. And so the fear can start to set in. It's the unknown that is scary. That's what creates fear in people. And you see that like again against cultures and demographics. Whenever there's like an unknown group that we don't understand, it's like that's scary to people because that's how our brains are programmed, right? But as soon as it becomes real and familiar, then it's no longer scary. So anyway, so I went from doing the door-to-door alarm systems. I started selling solar in Hawaii, which was awesome. But it was a totally different industry, total different approach. And I wanted to be successful at it, but I knew if I just put the time in and just worked real hard, I could figure it out. And at least I hoped I could. And I was able to do it. And I was able to get really good at it. And I was like the top salesman at the company and all this stuff. And it was really cool to be able to see what I applied here carried over to here. And so then after doing that for a while, I was going through a divorce and I wasn't going to be able to run big sales teams. And I was like, what am I going to do to have more control over my own life? And that's where I decided to go all in on real estate. And at this point, when I was going to go all in on real estate, I'm like, dude, I was successful in this realm. I was successful in this realm. I know at this point now, if I just apply the same rules of like the focus, the determination, the hard work, just learning the ins and outs and learning the science behind it, getting the education necessary, and then getting the experience under my belt, the reps of just doing it again and again and again, getting that evidence to the mind, right? That I can present to go, oh, see, I did it here. I did it here. I did it here. I knew if I could get enough reps in, then I would be okay. And that's what I did when I approached real estate. I was like, I started real small. I wanted to be able to go through as many transactions as I could. And I wasn't worried about making a ton of money off of every single one. My goal was to go through multiple transactions, from putting an offer in, getting it closed, getting funded, the whole 9 yards. And if I could do that, 4, 5, 6, 10 times, even on like less profitable, cheaper stuff, but now I have the experience under my belt that I could go tackle bigger ones. And I now know what I'm doing. Even if I could have maybe made the same amount of money doing 2 or 3 bigger ones, but I wouldn't have had the same experience and same evidence to my mind, creating those neural pathways to show that, yeah, this is normal. This is no big deal. You can be successful at this.
I love it. I love it a lot. So then the fears of the unknown. I heard you say that earlier in your answer, right? And then what is your advice to someone who's getting shut down by that fear? Like not even able to take that first step to just make the unknown known? Because I think that's the biggest issue that people have with that one. Do you have any advice for that person?
Yeah. So if we dive into that, we kind of got to back up into like your actual relationship with fear. And when I say like a relationship with fear, it's like if you think of any kind of relationship, it's like, how do you think about that, we'll say, person? And how does that person interact with you? And how do they think about you? And what is your interactions together? That's your relationship, right? And so you can say, what's my relationship with fear? When I hear about fear, when I think about fear, what is it to me? Is it this big evil demon that's going to kill me? Or could it be my friend that's there to protect me? And so when you look at your relationship with fear, that's the first step to going to the unknown. And that I've learned over the years that fear is my friend. It's there to protect me. Now, it might be an ignorant friend, but it has my best interest in mind. And so when I get afraid, when I feel fear, I no longer look at it as a boogeyman that's going to take me out, but more as a friend saying, hey, are like, be careful, watch out. Like this could be dangerous. And then the cool thing with fear, like biologically, it actually creates like a hyper focus if you can leverage it right to be able to make sure that you're okay. So I like rock climbing, right? And there's this point at rock climbing where you get to the top of the route. So you're, 20, 30, 60, 80 feet in the air or whatever, and up on this mountain. And there's a thing called cleaning the chains where you actually have to lock in and then you redo the rope and that you're connected to, that's your lifeline. You actually have to redo the knots and reconnect it and then come down off the chains. And it's the scariest part for me because you have to you're redoing your lifeline. If you mess it up, you die. And the fear would always get like real heavy right then. But it's good fear. It's like your friend saying like, dude, don't screw this up. Now, if you think it's a monster yelling at you, you're just like, you freeze and you freak out and then you do screw it up, right? But if you go, this feeling is my friend, it's telling me to be smart, be careful, have my eyes wide open, do this accurately and be hyper focused. Don't worry about anything else because this is my life on the line. And when you can approach it that way and see it as a friend as opposed to a foe, then you can listen to it and be careful and be smart, but it doesn't have to make you freeze or run away.
That's super interesting idea, making your negative emotions as friends, like literally
And
thinking of
again,
them
I
as
wouldn't
a
even say it's a
friend.
negative emotion. It's a powerful emotion. But that's the thing. Most
Mhm.
people think fear, negative emotion. I go, no, no, no. Fear, powerful emotion that's going to keep me alive because it's got my back.
Do you feel that way about other emotions as well? Other ones we negative normally think as negative, like let's say I don't know, jealousy or like sadness or anything like that. I'm curious if you have that perspective with other emotions as well, or is it just
You know,
fear?
I think I really do. I don't really look at like I heard this phrase I really like said like all feelings were meant to be felt. Right. So
Mm.
and I study a lot of stoicism. I don't know if you study the ancient Greek philosophy of stoicism, but it's very like a pragmatic approach to life. It's not a religion or really a value system. It's just like this is a pragmatic approach to how to live. And it's like, hey, if you're having these emotions, they are what they are. How can that play into designing a better life for you? And you can dig in and just be like, okay, if I'm sad, don't be depressed and dwell in the sadness. Go, okay, why am I sad? What does this mean? What can I do about it? And you can get very pragmatic about it, which is definitely a stoic philosophy, but it's not. People hear the word stoic and they think it means like hard face, like I don't feel emotions. It's actually the opposite. If you study what Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus and these guys actually taught, they were all about truly feeling that emotion, letting it come in, but processing it and using it, not letting it take control. So yeah, whether it's sadness or jealousy or fear or whatever it is, it's like, cool, there's a reason that I'm feeling this. How can I see what the safety net here, the reason I'm feeling that? And is it justified and should I listen to it and how can I safeguard? You know, a lot of times the jealousy that we can talk about that one for a minute, jealousy, can literally just be like an ego thing of the monkey mind wanting to make sure that no one else touches their thing so they can procreate and carry on their life. Who the monkey man, and it's like if you acknowledge, okay, do I need to feel that? No. Like I'll be okay. I'm safe. I'm not living as a monkey in a tribe somewhere, I don't need to give into this jealousy thing. And then you can tweak it, so you can acknowledge the emotion and appreciate it, not saying it's bad or good, just whatever it is, leverage whatever it is.
I love it. I totally agree. I mean, I use negative emotions a lot to motivate me, right?
Yeah.
Ones we consider usually negative. Man, this is gonna
Mhm.
kill me. Usually my camera, there we go. So I use them a lot. Like I use competition, like you could say it's jealousy if someone's beating me at something, right?
Sure.
In a way, and I'm using that to motivate myself in order to do something. I've always had this idea of the like demons. You should put your fears, you can say it about any emotion, your demons behind you, not in front of you. That's how
Mm,
I think of it. As like your fears should be chasing you, that pushes you forward instead of them being right in front of you as a roadblock, right? When you're able to make it where, like, let's say you're afraid of losing money, well, think about how much money you're losing by not doing the business or by not doing that deal, right? In the end, that's what it is. So, anyways, I just wanted to, that was like my opinion what you're saying. As I totally agree. I have read some
yeah.
stuff about I read Meditations. That's the one book I read from Marcus, but I don't know any of the other ones. But so let's go back real quick into just your journey. So you get over the sales job, then you're in real estate. How did you even hear about real estate, or where was your starting point in real estate?
Yeah, so this actually goes back to before I was even in sales. And my dad had dabbled in real estate. He was kind of an entrepreneur. He had his own little like business, but he would buy some real estate. Now, he never got like deep into what I call like the science behind it and truly understood the full impact of it. And the biggest thing he missed was the power of leveraging debt. So he was very against debt in any way, shape, or form. And so he kind of missed a whole incredible powerful tool that can be used with real estate very safely if you do it right. So anyway, but he did dabble in real estate. And so I saw that. I was like, oh, that's really cool. Like that seems like a powerful thing. I'd seen it, kind of give him some financial freedom and stability. And so when I was 24, I got my first place. Now my dad, he would actually help each of the kids get in their first place. it was a couple $1,000 to, hey, help you get going, right? So not really like a trust fund baby, but definitely very fortunate to be able to have, someone with a couple $1,000 to help me get started. And so instead of buying a place that I could go live in, which is what my siblings did, I said, hey, I want to get an investment property. And I didn't know anything about how to vet out a good one or this or that. But I just, at that point, I was like, dude, I'm already 24. And I felt like I was kind of late in the game. And I was like, I don't even care. I'm just going to buy something, because if I don't get in now, I'll probably never get in. And so we just literally just found a townhome for sale right down the street, and we bought it. It was the most uncalculated, like ignorant decision. We just kind of jumped into it, and I got that. But that was my start. And then I just rented it out and started making cash flow. And so then I started doing that. Hey, I'm going to do that every year. And I did it for the first 2 or 3 years, but then I started getting distracted by how much money I was making in sales. And I was like, well, that's way more than this real estate thing. Who cares? And then I stopped buying, which is like obviously my biggest regret is I stopped buying properties, got distracted making all this money, and then come around seeing inflation or appreciation and just seeing the markets go up and up and up over the years, 7 years later, and I hadn't bought anything. I was like, man, if I bought anything, it would have doubled. Like, that's where the real wealth is created. So I kind of saw that I missed the boat a little bit. So then when I was pivoting away from sales, I'm like, I'm going to go all in on real estate this time, get as much as I possibly can over the next decade. And this time I'm not going to regret it when things go up. And I caught the tail end right before COVID popped and got a couple things, and I just have been buying even since then. But yeah, I just told myself I'm not going to miss it again, even if it's not a huge jump, whatever it is, I'm going to go all in.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. So I'm curious too, like, what made you want to invest? I know you saw your dad had invested before. Was that the only reason? You saw your family. Also, where are you from? I'm
So I'm
curious.
from Utah, and that's where my
Okay.
family
So was it Salt
lives,
Lake
on like
City?
south of Salt Lake City. I grew up on a ranch,
Okay.
probably 3 or 4 hours from there, and then I lived in Provo, which
Okay.
is like 45 minutes from there. But yeah.
So something that I'm curious about is like, yeah, why didn't you follow your siblings? You saw what your siblings had done, and then was it just that your dad had bought investments before, or how did you decide?
Yeah, and for me, it really was about freedom. So that's like always been my theme, is having freedom to be able to like live the life I want to live, not have anybody. I'm not good with bosses or being told what to do. I like to be able to design my own life. And I saw my dad do that. And so I was like, I want to have that same kind of freedom. I don't want to be tied to a job that I hate. I don't want to be tied to doing things I don't want to do. I want to have the ability to kind of be in control of my own life. And so that was really the heart of it, from literally the first door to even more so, when I decided to go all in, almost a decade later. It was always about building that life of freedom and designing my life. And so like FRDM, freedom, is like been my logo, it's my LLC, it's kind of been my brand and my theme my entire journey. But it's really about designing that life of freedom where I can be in control of my hours and my days. And I have 2 kids. I've got a 5 and a 6-year-old, and that became really, really evident when I was going through a divorce. I'm like, I want to be able to be there for these kids, and I want to be able to spend time with them while they're young and not have to be doing some grinding job that I hate and miss out on their childhood. I've heard so many horror stories of people always look back like, I was working so hard, I missed my kid's childhood. And I'm like, I want to be in control of my life and not have that have to happen. So yeah, freedom and designing my life intentionally.
I love it. Cool,
There we
man.
go.
Well, do you
Yeah.
have any last words before I start wrapping this up?
No, man, this is awesome. I just appreciate you, having me on, and I appreciate you being on the schools podcast. And these things are fun. I love that we live in a world where we can do this. I think podcast is the coolest media
I would
platform.
also love to come on and teach a class on maybe some creative financing or something in your school if you want
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah, we'd love that. Like I say, we have a
Anytime.
guest speaker every month. We should get you lined up for that. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be fun. All right, man. You've been amazing. Guys, my last day of my challenge that I'm doing right now is tomorrow. This is the last day. Show up. Just go to www.jonahkorchin.com/acquisitionsweek if you want to see how to run a really successful wholesaling business. It's the last day I'm doing it. It is not live on YouTube. You only get it if you sign up, and then you get all the Zooms for free. But you have to sign up. So sign up here. I just want you to know it's the last day tomorrow, and then it'll be cash flow and coffee. And I don't know if I'm going to do a challenge for a while, guys. So I'm just letting you guys know that challenge ends tomorrow. Come on if you guys want it. This is Scorch the Fears, Joe. You've been amazing. Scorch the Fears, we're out. Let go.